Thank you all so much for the comments on Facebook. I realized a lot of mistakes you guys told me about when I was editing my first vlog, but it's just nice to know that it's also apparent, you know. I will try my best to fix a lot of these problems in this vlog, so hopefully you guys will look forward to it because it will be amazing like me. Last time I talked about working attention, so to complement the theme on time management, I will go through some ways to slow down your perception of time. However, before going through all these ideas, I want to tell you a little bit of the research done on this topic. Many research is conducted in this small scale where the time limit range is only a few milliseconds to a few seconds. And these have to do with the brain using small bits of working attention to remember the few milliseconds that just passed by. Or the idea of special neurons firing in sync and in patterns that allow the brain to count time. The model I will use will have a much larger scale and will count time from a few seconds to maybe a few minutes. Now, a few minutes may sound like a short range also, but I will explain it to you, so listen up. Directly quoting from Peter Orexé, who used this model as research, it is proposed that instead of an accurate internal clock, the brain simply has access to the approximate constant rate of its own information processing. Thus, the brain acts like a counter that can allocate specific amounts of attention to a particular event, and perceives time as going slower or faster depending on the amount of focus, or lack thereof, you are. A unit of attention per one event would be actual normal time perception. And say 2 units of attention for one event would mean slower time perception. Oppositely, less than 1 unit of attention per one event would mean that time would be going faster in your brain. Here's an example. You are playing a game of dodgeball. You turn around and you immediately notice a ball having left a person's hand flying straight towards your face. Your adrenaline rushes through your body, your fight or flight response kicks into gear, and you manage to dodge the ball in an inch margin. What just happened was that the adrenaline that rushed through your body triggered a sense of heightened awareness inside your body, a higher level of attention. And so your ratio of the attention to the event exceeded 1 by 1, slowing down your perception of time and allowing you to think to turn left and dodge in time. Contrast example. You're about to undergo surgery to get your wisdom teeth pulled out. Your dentist gives you a dose of general anesthesia that numbs your senses, and you knock out before you can count to 5. Next thing you remember, you are sitting in the backseat of the car while your parents, boyfriend, girlfriend, or illegitimate relative, whoever, is driving you home. In this case, we're not talking about the actual time you were drugged, but the time that elapsed when your brain woke up to the first thing you remember, which was being in the car. During that moment, the ratio of attention to event is less than 1, actually very close to if not 0. Which made you perceive the two events that are disjointed to have actually happened somewhat instantaneous. You actually got off the recliner yourself and maybe had the help of a supervisor carry you to your car. But because you're in a hungover state and didn't bother to remember what happened during that time, attention is 0 and it seems like the two events happened one after the other. As another short example, we can go back to the dodgeball incident, where instead of dodging the ball, you didn't even turn around and the ball smacked you straight in the back of the head. You paid 0 attention, obviously, to the ball flying towards you, and a major attention shift occurs upon you getting pumped by the ball, which is perceived as instantaneous. Using this model, there are ways to manipulate your perception of time. If you were to take an analog clock and count a second for each tick of the second hand, then you will obviously be perceiving time as normal. So here we introduce the idea of allocating attention to time, in conjunction with the activities that you did during that frame. So try this. Do something for 5 minutes, and in say 15 minutes, you'll go back and count what you did during those 3 5 minutes that just passed by. And in 1 hour, you recall what just happened in the past 2 30 minutes. Try to name all the things you did in the past hour as best as you can. Because your brain is also wired to count time based on the amount of memories you have during an allocated period. A person who recalls little of what happened will have found time to have progressed very quickly. Whereas a person who timestamps all activities will have found time to have progressed slower than normal because they can think that they remember a lot more. If you work a boring, mundane job, then this might happen to you often. Say you work 8 hours a day every weekday. It's so boring that you're waiting for the time when you can get off work. At those moments, you're actually being very aware of time and you're constantly checking it, right? But here's the twist. At the end of the week, you think back to the beginning of the week and you think, wow, the week passed by so quickly. And that's because your work is so boring and so tedious that you barely give any thought to remember what you did during all those times that you worked. And the lack of memory that you retained during that week makes it seem like time passed faster than normal, even though every hour of every day you think that time passed very, very slowly. You've all heard the saying that time doesn't wait for anyone. But you can actually think of Time as this mischievous little brat. If you watch it closely, then it will behave nicely and get on your level. But the moment you take your mind off of it, rampage ensues, and Time just goes until you realize, ah, shit! So that's all I have for you this time. As always, if you have any questions or feedback, please talk to my forum below. The next vlog topic hasn't really been decided yet because I have so many ideas that I want to do. So I guess you just have to stay put in dark for a bit. Peace!